What's going on, guys? It's Tom and welcome back to a brand new video and a brand new episode of my F1 2017 career mode, and we are here for the Singapore Grand Prix for round number 14 of the season. And we're currently looking at the R&D screen at the moment, and more specifically the engine wear, as I'm currently fitting some old components for this race here in Singapore. I'm going to use some slightly more worn out components for this one, and obviously it's not as engine power dependent as other tracks. I'm going to try and use up some of my older ones and try and keep that fourth one fresh for the remaining races. We've got 5 more races to go this season, and we've done one race on the fourth component. So it's looking very marginal. We may have to take an engine penalty unless we can maybe squeeze every last drop of performance out of all of the 4 power units. But it's going to look very, very marginal in that regard, because I might have to use the old ones for practice for every single practice session now for the rest of the season. I'm going to really struggle to get the R&D points and the performance necessary in those, and then literally keep the new one for the qualifying and racing. But it's going to be very marginal, and I may have to take a grid penalty, and who knows, I might just take it in the next race so that way I can safely get to the end of the season. But nevertheless, focusing now on Singapore for practice, and first things I want to say for this episode, guys, is I've recorded practice and qualifying yesterday, which was a Tuesday. Today is Wednesday, and in between each recording session, I recorded the race today, this morning, and practice and qualifying yesterday. I went out last night and I severely burnt my hand, as you'll see on screen right now, and I recorded the actual race with a burnt hand. I talked about in the video, it was a real challenge to get this one recorded, guys. If you guys could smash a like in this video for me trying to power through the recording with a few issues in my left hand, then that'd be absolutely fantastic. But let's see if we can try and smash 200 likes in this episode, guys, for me trying to get this episode out there for you. But we're going to jump into practice now, and as you can see, we're currently just getting through the practice programs and making sure that we get maximum resource points so we can stock up on those and try and go for one big final end of season upgrade, hopefully. So right now, I believe we're sitting on around about 1,000 points. I want to try and get maybe another 500, and then I can maybe get 2 upgrades. So we're going to try and maybe invest in those very soon. But also, I'll make a video at some point announcing my team choice for next season, so you guys can go vote. So keep an eye out for that one. That might come out later today or tomorrow. So that's going to be a big one for the future course of the season. But we're going to focus now on the qualifying performance test, where we went a whole second faster than the predicted lap time, but we still only got green, not good enough for purple, which was quite surprising there. And then eventually we would swiftly transition into the final part of the practice program, which was the race strategy, and this one went rather well, and the car's driving rather nicely around here, and I actually felt quite at home with the car around the circuit, and we've actually got a purple score there in that. So a pretty solid practice session overall. Purple scores in pretty much everything except for the qualifying performance test. So a very good practice session here, and a very solid amount of resource points to take home into the bank and stock up on those. But moving into practice now, into qualifying, and we're going to currently focus on a lap in Q1 here. As you can see, currently in P17 with about 50 seconds left on the clock. About 50-ish seconds on the clock here. We're trying to go for a lap up before the checkered flag drops, and this is our first sector, currently 3 tenths down on Sebastian Vettel, not too bad there, and we're going to see if we can try and get through the Q2 with this lap, as we're now going to the second sector, just over a second behind Lewis Hamilton, who's the man who's now taken the lead in the session. And we've got one more sector to negotiate here, which will be the final one, and as you can see, coming through the final corner now, we did actually get a good enough lap time to set us up for P13, so not too bad of a lap time in Q1 there, just about scraping through. Esteban Ocon falling victim to the Q1 knockout there, which was quite surprising. So automatically I became a little bit concerned about our pace in qualifying, but luckily we did qualify and there was no issues there whatsoever as we now transition into Q2. And this was my best lap on the session, so we're going to run a board now for the entirety of the lap, once again leaving it until the very dying embers of qualifying to make a competitive lap time, and no reference or prior lap times in this session. So this is going to be a genuine lap time where I'm absolutely on it throughout the entirety of the lap, and so far it's been okay. A little bit scruffy hitting the wall on the exit of the final corner. So on the last corner we just exited onto this back straight, but so far only a tenth off Hamilton in the first sector, as Raikkonen now goes fastest, and so far it's looking like a good lap through this section, nice and tidy through there, good bit of traction as we now go down the hill into this swooping left hand, avoid the wall on the right hand side that sticks out, and so far we're keeping it out the barriers. Very nice job here so far as we go into the former Singapore season, the former turn 10, and then into the modified, which was just last year modified, the Anderson Bridge section, as you can see here, just to get a nice run through there as close as you like to every single wall, and then into the hairpin second gear, possibly third, and then we get some nice good traction there on the exit. And now we're going to wait for the second sector split to see where we are in amongst the pack here, as we come across here 1.1 off the pace here. So we're looking okay so far, because the Mercedes and Ferraris do have some ridiculous pace around here compared to the rest of the field. Like literally, the Mercs and the Ferraris are like a solid second and a half faster than anybody else. So right now we're going to be like compete with the Rebels hopefully and the Williams cars. But as you can see, going now under the bridge here in the final sector, only a few more corners to go now in this lap, and we're really on it here. Really good lap here so far, and we're just about avoiding the wall there on the exit, getting so close. And now through the final double apex left-hander, and we're going to open up with the RS and across the line, and we get a good lap in there actually, P5 for Q2, so a very solid lap time there, and that one's going to see us through quite comfortably into Q3, so a very good lap there. But looking at the gaps, as you can see, 2.1 off the pace. Raikkonen and the Mercedes in a planet of their own. Vettel, 1.7 off, but I don't think that was his ultimate lap time. But it just goes to show the difference in performance to everybody else. And the Red Bulls just scraping through there in 9th and 10th. So a very interesting one there for both of the Red Bull guys. But we're now going to run on board for my best lap in Q3. Once again, leaving it late in the session here with 30 seconds to go. The lap was going rather well for us, and unfortunately then we come into the third sector, and we encountered traffic in the form of Roman Grosjean, who I don't think he was on a lap, and he was holding me up throughout this entirety of the section here as we now go under the bridge here and have to get all out of shape under the brakes. And then eventually Grosjean gets out of the way, but he cost me a couple of tenths there, and he just put me on a bit of a scruffy line through. As you can see, these final few corners, the lap was actually really good up until that point, my best lap of the weekend. And we now come through the final corner here, and because of that mistake, I wonder where that's going to put us on the grid. It's going to be P6, so that's still pretty decent. P6 around Singapore, you know, a track that I wouldn't expect the car to perform at. That is pretty damn good, but you know, you have to wonder, could it have been any higher? Looking at the final qualifying results, you have to think I could have got P5 if it hadn't been for Grosjean there. But other than that, that was the story of qualifying, with Lewis Hamilton and Verstappen for some reason not setting lap times, rather interestingly. But it's a Vettel pole position followed by Raikkonen and Bottas. So that's going to be the grid for Singapore here. Very interesting qualifying session, and hopefully we can do better in the race tomorrow, even with my damaged hand. So let's jump into the race now for the Singapore Grand Prix. Okay, so it's race day at Singapore. However, I've got a little something to tell you guys. I recorded qualifying and practice yesterday, and then I went out for a barbecue, and you'll see a picture on the screen right now. I've severely burnt my hand. I'm going to attempt to record this race one-handed pretty much. I'll have my left hand on the wheel to try and shift down and very lightly turn. But I'm very handicapped this race, so straight off the bat, if I can score points this race, I'll be very happy. I've turned down my force feedback to like the absolute minimum. I've got a little bit of force feedback just so I can feel the car, but I've turned it down to basically almost zero. So the wheel's going to feel very strange, the car's going to feel strange. I'm driving with basically my right hand around here today, so if I can get something out of this, that'd be fantastic. I'm not expecting to hold on to my P5 starting position. There will also be a video on screen right now where you can see how exactly I'm having to operate the wheel with my left hand, and it's not looking good. So hopefully I can still try and have a good race. I did do a couple of test laps just a few minutes ago just to see if I could actually record, because unfortunately this severe burn on my hand is like, I'd have to go like a whole week without making videos, and I really just cannot do that at the moment, because I'm in a good bit of form. The channels are going really well, and I want to try and maintain that and keep it going. So we're going to try our best here to try and power through this recording. Unfortunately, it's the longest in terms of time-wise track on the calendar, and also a track where there's a lot of corners, so it's not exactly the best track to sort of have a burnt hand around. But in terms of the race strategy for today, a simple one stop onto the super soft, so that should be fairly straightforward. Dry conditions throughout, and the fuel is basically on target just about. I've overfueled a little bit. The team were recommending me to go slightly under, but I've gone bang on target with 31 laps. So hopefully we can have a good race, and hopefully we can score some points, because that's going to be the goal today. As long as I might just get 1 point, as long as I get the top 10, I'll be very happy, because I'm a bit handicapped this race. So with that being said, it's now time to jump into the race for the Singapore Grand Prix. Right, here we go then. We're going to gear up to the 5 red lights for Singapore, and it's going to be lights out and away we go. Pretty good launch off the line. Sainz off to an absolute screamer there up the inside. Surely not. Is Sainz going to take the lead here at Singapore? No, wait. Oh, there's been contact. We've gone around the outside of everybody. We've avoided the contact. Sainz going for a spin and running to third place. So a very nice start there, avoiding the contact crucially, and Sainz the one going for a spin there. So let's see if we can settle into this race now in P3. Try and see how my hand feels whilst driving around this track, and hopefully I can try and maintain some good pace. The Ferraris are 1-2 line astern with Raikkonen leading Sebastian Vettel, but let's see how we can tackle this circuit with this hand and see if my pace is okay, because that's the main concern here. Oh, it's a yellow flag up ahead. I wonder if that's for debris possibly at the turn 1 incident, and yeah, there's probably for the debris, so we've got to be careful for that, because in this year's game you can get puncture. I thought for a second, I thought one of the Ferraris was out of the race already. That would have been very, very surprising, but right now we're holding P3, and Grosjean's the next car behind. There's a big train of cars following him. The Mercedes had a pretty poor qualifying, so they're miles down the order, and they may have got tangled in that turn 1 scrap, but right now I'm just trying to hold pace and let's see what I can do with obviously my one-hand situation. So far it's not looking too bad, but I'm definitely not as quick as I know I can be, unfortunately. So the longer we keep it going, the better. Bottas now into P4, so he's had a fantastic start and he's going to be hunting me down very soon, so we could be defending our position as early as next up, I reckon. Okay, so let's get some reference lap time. So Raikkonen's down to 42.8. Let's see what I can do as we come across the line. First proper lap at racing speed, it's a 45.7, so there you go, almost 3 seconds off the pace. It makes you realise, and I'm definitely not on the money here. Also, Bottas is catching me pretty quickly, so the longer this first stint drags out, and the longer I stay here, the better, because it's going to hopefully favour my final race position. But right now, I can't see P4 being too bad. I mean, like I said, I'd take a P10, so right now it's much better than what I expected. I really wasn't planning on this situation and this scenario occurring. So right now we're sitting pretty in third place. However, Bottas is very quick and he's catching me super quickly. Surprisingly, I'm actually pulling away from the guys behind. I think whoever's holding up that train of cars is must have some sort of car damage, but this is allowing me to get away. And right now Bottas is all over my rear end, so he's going to be passing me very soon here. And I'm okay over the whole lap. This is the part where my hand really hurts, and it's really hard to get the car where I want it, because you've got to be so precise through here, and I'm really just being really cautious, and I can't do anything about it because I haven't got the feel through the wheel, because I'm running low force feedback, and also I've only got practically one hand on the wheel, so it's not ideal for me right now, and I'm being very careful with the car. Obviously around a street circuit as well, whilst being pretty much one-handed, the barriers are a real concern, so there's loads of factors here to be careful with. Here comes Bottas. He's got a lot of straight line speed. He's going to make the move up the inside. Is he going to make the move on the yellows? I don't know, but I'm going to go on the outside. Can we hold it? We're getting told to change our strategy. I'm just going to go on the outside of Bottas here into green flag conditions. Right, let's sit behind Bottas here. He's faster than me. However, I'm going to have DRS now as we go into this straight. The problem is I don't know if I can reach the button. So, there we go. Oh, that hurt a little bit. Right, I don't think we're going to get him. He's a little bit too far away. So we've got the race strategy here. Keep current. We'll just stick with what we got. I know what I'm doing strategy-wise, so I don't need to change it. So, right, Bottas makes the move. That was expected. So now we're going to just hold our position and see when the other guys catch up. We've got 11.5 seconds on Romain Grosjean, who's holding up that train of cars. So we've got a nice little buffer here, and we've got a nice gap to work with. And I think we're actually pulling away from Grosjean. So things are going well for us right now. Okay, so we've got Sebastian Vettel on looking like a 2-stop strategy there, so he's onto super softs. That's going to re-promote me up into third place, and I'm going to stick to the 1-stop, so I'm back into a technically net third place if Seb is on the 2-stop. So interesting strategy there, good strategy there, because he's going to come out ahead of Grosjean by the look of it, and out of any traffic. So good strategy there from the Ferrari crew. But we're going to keep on going around here. I'm actually pulling away from Grosjean, which is quite remarkable. So we're just going to keep going here. The pace is good. Just set a personal best, as you just saw. And things are going well. I'm getting a chance to actually rest my hand on the straights and put it down and not actually have my hand on the wheel. Also through some corners like the right-handers where I'm upshifting, I can leave my hand down and not have to use it. So that is always a helping hand. But right, so far so good. Bottas is still there. He hasn't really pulled away that much. I can still see him. So the pace is good. The engine is a little bit worn. The ICE is now on 75%. So we're taking a risk here. The engine is going to be down on power slightly. I'll show you the graph in a moment's time because I can't right now. Okay, as you can see, looking at the engine components there, the MG UK is on 49%. The energy store on 34%. The control electronics on 41%. And the ICE is 75%. The MGUH is on 73%. And the turbochargers on 68%. So the 3 of the 4 main engine components, besides the MGUK, are on like 65% plus. So I'm going to be down on power slightly soon, and I've got to try and nurse this for the rest of the race. But I think looking at up ahead, I think Bottas has come in, so he could be also on the 2-stop strategy. So that's going to promote me up into second place. And I think Raikkonen's the only man who's sticking to the 1-stop. So there you go. Different strategies across the board here, but the 1-stop is the only way forward for me. Vettel was nearly 4 seconds faster than me that last lap, so he's got some incredible pace on them fresh super softs. But I mean, we are racing him, but at the same time I was going to say we're not really racing him, but we are. But I don't think I can race him, to be honest. I just haven't got the tools necessary, and I'm not fast enough. So I will battling, but it's going to be an inevitable outcome, I think. But I'll give it a good old grow and see if I can keep him behind me. Oh wow, Raikkonen is out of the race. So wait, that's going to promote me into first place. Oh wow, I think I'm going to use this opportunity to come into the pit lane, because this is going to be a good opportunity for me to get it all sorted out in the pit lane and try and not lose much time. So here we go, we're going to come in. It might be a bit rushed, but you know, we're going to use the VSC to hopefully to our advantage. The VSC is going to end, but we're going to come in for super softs. Hopefully it'll gain us a bit of time. And here we go. My only worry is I hope we can get these to the end. This is going to be a bit of a stretch, 21 laps on these tyres, but I'm going to give it a go. So we'll see what happens. Right now we are still in second place. Come on, come on, come on. If I can get these to the end, I'm looking pretty good here. Come on. Right, pit limiter off. We've got cars coming now. It's going to be close. It's going to be very close. I think we are going to lose the position, but I'm going to try and defend it. Here we go. Right, let's try and defend ourselves here. Up the inside of Bottas. There he is. We've almost made the VSC work. Come on, come on. Right, let's just sit behind him for now. I think I can make the move. Come on. DRS wide open. Oh, that's such a struggle to get the DRS open there. Right, MFD, rich mix. Okay, there's no point in fighting this battle. So let's just try and get the braking sorted out. Alright, there we go. Right, we've got a couple of cars behind we've got to try and think of at the same time. I want to try and get past Bottas. Right now, we're on for a podium. So I do apologise if I sound a bit weird, but I'm trying to concentrate a lot here and also be careful with what I do because I don't want to hurt myself. Alright, Magnussen comes in, so Bottas is going to inherit second place. I'm going to inherit third place, but Bottas has had a poor exit out of there, and I'm going to make the move here. Can I keep Bottas behind me as we go into turn 1? We're going to try and hold the inside line. Have I got enough speed? Yes, I have. Squeeze him out, and there we go, into P2. This is a net position. What I've got to do is get these tires to the end. That's the only issue here. I think I can make it work. But I think Bottas and Vettel will do another stop because they're on the two-stop strategy. So I could be in first, but Vettel's pace is a bit too quick, so I think by the time he comes in he's going to have a pit stop on me already. But still, if we can battle Bottas here for P2, that'd be fantastic. And I'm going to try and go wheel to wheel with the Mercedes driver. He goes clean around my outside. Fair play to him. What a move. He's going to squeeze me out a little bit here. I'm just going to try and switch back on him, but no use. The back end just goes on me there, and just haven't got the reflexes to catch the back end there. Just it's hard to battle in these conditions, but we've had a good little battle there. Verstappen's now in P4, sorry. So he's going to start catching us up, I think. But we've got a nice buffer of seconds, so he shouldn't be onto the back of me until a little while. So what I've got to do now is focus on my driving, drive as smoothly as I can because of my pace deficit, and try and reduce the tyre wear and keep it to a minimal. That way I'll get these tyres to the end. Right, personal best into the 44s, not too bad. Still holding good pace, and Bottas is obviously pulling away at a rate of knots, but I don't care because right now I'm on for a podium, and that is that's incredible. If I get a podium one-handed, I'll be so happy. We've got 10.5 seconds on Max Verstappen, so we've got a nice cushion, and I feel confident in myself that I can maybe actually bring this to the end. I'll see what my pace is. I can see how my hand feels later on in the race, because obviously as this goes on, the more it's going to hurt. But for now, it's looking good. I'm actually pulling away from Verstappen. The gap has gone up to 11 seconds. So my pace must be pretty good around here. It's just maybe the Mercedes and the Ferraris are in another planet in terms of pace. I mean, we saw that in qualifying that they were just in another universe when it comes to overall one-lap pace. But I seem to have pretty good pace here for the best of the rest, and I might be actually quite hard to beat around here. Let's have a look. Yeah, the gap's 11 seconds, so there you go. Verstappen's actually not catching me that much. I'm actually pulling away. I'm starting to get a little bit concerned, and I'm just wondering if my ICE will even make it to the end of the race. It's pretty much on 80%. It's on 79, but it's going to go up to 80 any second. And my MGUH is on 77% also. My turbocharger is on 72, but I mean, the MGUH and the ICE are what really concerning me this race, and I don't actually know if they'll make it to the end or not. I'm really not sure, because there's still got half race distance to go, so this is going to be very tricky, this race. We might have an engine failure at any moment, just don't know in this game. That's the thing, it's totally random, so let's hope I can survive. Okay, we've got a couple of cars in the pit lane. I think that's Bottas and someone else, a lap car possibly. Let's have a look, let's confirm it. Yeah, that's Bottas. So Bottas in for his final stop of the race as I get locked up into turn 1. Tyres are going slightly, but they're not a major concern if I can just get to the MFD here. Right, as you can see, not too bad. I think I can get these to the end, no problem. Like I said before, the main issue now for me is the engine. I'm getting a bit concerned. If I just scroll over to the engine, as you can see, my IC is now 41% and my turbocharger is 73. and my MGUH is 74. So, sorry, 77. So we're really struggling. And Hamilton now setting the pace fast up of the race. So he must be on fresh tyres. He could maybe catch me by the end of the race. He's the only guy that can catch me on raw pace by the end of the Grand Prix, because the Mercedes and the Ferraris are in another planet when it comes to pace around here. So if Hamilton's doing those lap times and he's 4 seconds faster than me almost a lap, then he will catch me by the end of the race. So that's the only person that can put my podium in jeopardy. Bottas is going to try and catch me, but I'm going to fight him here for track position because I want this second place just as much as he does. So I'm going to fight him as much as I can when he arrives. Right, I've just done a personal best there. I'm trying to match Bottas, but there's obviously no chance of that. But I'm just trying to pick up my pace. And I've got loads of tyre life. I've been driving so carefully on these tyres. I've been taking good care of them. And I've still got a bit of pace in there to do those sort of lap times. So personal best back into the 1 minute 44. So the leaders are lapping at the low 42s. So I'm still miles off the pace. But Bottas now is within my DRS. So here he is. He's a bit closer than I expected. He's going to come and make a move. I'm going to go defensive here. Can we defend from him? I just can't look at the straight line speed. I'm going to go on the brakes up the inside. Give him a little bit of a wheel tap. I'm going to let him know that I'm there. Is he going to leave me the room around the outside here? It's going to be very close, a bit of a squeeze, a bit more wheel banging. I'm onto the slippery part of tarmac, and Bottas has made the move, and he's got me. He's just got the grip on those tyres, and he's up into second place. Hamilton now is in P4, and if he's the next car on the mini-map, then I'm going to be in trouble here, but I'm ready. I'm absolutely ready for Hamilton to arrive, because I want this podium. He's 25 seconds behind, so there you go. It's not him on the mini-map, so I've got a 25-second gap to the next car, with about 9 full laps to go. If he's gaining about 4 seconds a lap, that's technically 36 seconds, so he could well catch me by the end of the race. I've got Carlos Sainz behind me now, who's wanting to try and lap himself. I'm shockingly slow in a straight line, so I'm not going to fight him. I'll let him go, because I don't want to lose time here. So hopefully Sainz doesn't slow up now and actually gets moving, and if he gets about the blue flags and actually pushes here. So I'm going to just let off the throttle a little bit and make it, obviously convince the AR that he's actually pulling away from me, because I need him to go. Hamilton now within 10 seconds, and he's going to gain a little bit of me at this lap because I've lost extra time to Sainz. So I can now see Lewis on the minimap. I'm guessing that's him, so it's going to get tense now. Okay, engine wear is getting critical now. IC 84%, MGUH 83, and turbocharger 77. Tyres are good to go to the end, no problem. But Hamilton now is about 4 seconds behind me, 3.3 now, so there you go. He's catching me, and we're going to have a battle in the race. And I've got a little bit of fuel saved up, so I could use Rich to try and defend. He's close enough to me to have a pop with DRS, so I'm going to go up to Rich Mix, and I'm going to use this to defend on this straight here. So let's set ourselves up for a good exit, a nice bit of traction, and now we wait for the arrow to approach. So far we're defending ourselves here. I'm going to park my car in the middle of the track. Here comes Lewis. He's looking all over the back of me here, but I'm having absolutely none of it. I've run a little bit hot there, but I've defended, and I've kept him behind me, keeping the car right in the middle of the track there. Just sort of offset Lewis a bit, and he didn't really know where to place his car, so that's pretty good to me right now. My hand is absolutely killing me, but I've only got 2.5 laps to go, so I've got to make it work. Here comes Lewis again. I'm going to squeeze as much as I can. Can I go around the outside here? Oh, it's very, very close. Side by side through this section with Lewis Hamilton. Can the AI possibly do around here? I've just hit my hand. That's hurt quite a bit. Right, Lewis has made the move, but I'm not done there. Let's try and stick on the back of him here. Back end stepping out on me. Oh, I think that's it. I think he's gone. I think Lewis has got me. Come on. Right on to the last lap. Let's try and bring this car home now and try and solidify these 12 points. Ricardo is catching me pretty quickly on the ultra softs, but I think I've got enough to defend, hopefully. Okay, now into the final sector. Only a few more corners to go now. Ricardo is on the back of me, but I think I've got it wrapped up here. Let's just try and bring it home. The engine has held up all this way, and I'm very happy with how the engine has managed to just hold on that last bit. But here we go through the final couple of corners, and now the final corner, and we're going to come home for a brilliant P4 at Singapore. Absolutely incredible. I'm so pleased with that result, and I can now relax and chill out until I record the next race in Japan, which I think it is, and I'll probably record that maybe later on or tomorrow. I'll have to wait and see, but that was a really just a tense race throughout, you know, trying to find some sort of consistent pace, and I actually hit a pretty good sweet spot, and I found some very good rhythm. Even though the pace wasn't great, it must have been pretty good compared to the rest of the AI, except for the two Ferraris and the two Mercedes, who were just in a class of their own in terms of raw pace around this circuit. So overall, a very solid race, and a very well-deserved 12 points. Now, I said at the start of the race, I'd take a point instead I've actually finished even further ahead than where I started on the grid, which is something I never thought I'd be saying. And I think I've beaten Ocon by quite a big amount of points. So a really, really good race here. One that I'm very proud of, and one of my best performances of the season for me, considering the handicap. But as you can see, Vettel wins at Singapore ahead of Bottas and Hamilton. So there you go. Mercedes 2-3, Ferrari number 1, and obviously Raikkonen out of the race. So that's going to hopefully help Mercedes' constructors' cause, but Vettel's going to extend his championship lead now to quite a substantial amount of points, and that's going to be big for the championship. And looking at the final race results, you can see that I bring it home in P4 behind Vettel and both of the Mercedes, with both of the Red Bulls behind me in 5th and 6th, just about managing to keep ahead of Daniel Ricciardo there, with Kevin Magnussen in P7 ahead of Lance Stroll, Esteban Ocon picking up 2 points as my teammate Julian Palmer rounding out the top 10 there. But looking at the driver's standings, you can see that I'm still in 7th place, and I've got 50 points now on Ocon, so really starting to get my gap out to my teammate and really establishing my dominance as the number 1 driver in the team, and also only 9 points behind Ricciardo, so you never know, I could maybe have a go at getting him. He's my rival after all in the championship, so we can try and catch Ricciardo. That'd be pretty good. But looking finally at the constructors, you can see that we're holding P4 rather comfortably between both Red Bull and Williams. Ferrari by far and away the best team on the grid. But overall, that was this episode here today for career mode at Singapore, guys. And if you guys have enjoyed them, please do smash the like button for me also trying to power through this recording. And as we try to smash 300 likes on this video, guys. Also subscribe to my channel if you're new around here. And if you have missed any of the videos on screen right now, then I do urge you to go check them out if you haven't done so already. But I thank you guys ever so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. As a motorbike drives past, goodbye.